All right. So today's faith and culture topic is all those great personality tests that you take. What enneagram are you? What's your Myers-Briggs? What color are you? I don't even know what that one is. Do you guys know what your
No.
color
No,
is?
that was
My favorite is that's a thing. Like churches have an entire Bible study on what your color is.
Oh man.
I don't know.
no.
I think I'm a yellow, but I have no idea. All that to say is it kind of maybe it seems like a silly joke, but it does seem like Christians love a good personality test. We love putting ourselves in a box. We love doing a giftings quiz. So we're going to talk about the good and the bad of this. We're not necessarily saying it's terrible by any means. So we want to cover the good and the bad of this particular Christian cultural phenomenon. We all took an Enneagram test, didn't we, guys?
We did.
We did, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I think we even made Zach take one, even though he refused to give us what he was. Anyway, so yeah, let's just jump right into it. What do you guys think? We'll start with the pros. What are the pros?
Yeah, I think there's some pros for sure. I haven't been up on the latest, so I know my Enneagram, but I'm not sure how it all works. I need to look into that one a little bit more, and I don't know what color I am. Sorry, guys, identity crisis there. I don't know. I'm not caught up on that one, but Myers-Briggs, I do know that one. I am ENFP, and I guess sometimes I test it as an ESFP, so I'm not sure how those vary. Okay, ENFP, interesting. Let's go with it. So, yeah, I think one of the things that was helpful is I found something that said the 25 tendencies of an ENFP, and one of them was it was very deep. It says trying to convince the people closest to you that yes, you absolutely love everybody, but you love them the most. Because they kind of feel like because you're so loving, you're stealing love away. So that was helpful because it made me be aware of that. So that was one. I thought that was really good. And then the second one was that our personality type needs a lot more introverted time than other extroverts, and that was fascinating to me. So I think there's a pro to that one, just knowing how to pace myself without burning out. So that's pros for me. That's helped me over time.
Yeah, for me, I think Abigail, the pros would be it's a starting point. Like it's interesting, and it's a starting point to try to understand why you do what you do and why other people don't do what you do. And that actually can be revolutionary for a lot of us when you begin to realize hey, I'm looking at this situation and, my wife or my best friend or this other person is looking at the same situation and they see it completely different. Why are they so messed up? And so it can help you understand that, hey, people are different and how they're different.
Yeah.
So I do think it's just a great starting point for a conversation about what makes people different. And I also think it just gives handles or words, language that can be helpful, like extrovert, introvert. Start to, you can contrast different aspects to it. So I would say that those are good. Those are good pros. We did we had a friend take our group through a personality training, and this was our leadership group here in San Diego, and it was pretty eye-opening just to he had some great exercises that he took us through that really did kind of help us appreciate how different we were, because you just sort of assume that even if someone's a little bit different, it's just a little bit, and then you realize oh no, they see it really different than I see it. So I think that those are all helpful. What about you?
Yeah, I'm not a feeler at all, and and so sometimes I for sure I just assume what people are thinking or feeling, and I get it wrong. What? And so it's very helpful just to be reminded that people are different, like you were saying, Andrew. So it can be a very useful tool, like you said, a starting off point to kind of just get a general idea of what this person might struggle with, what are the things that they're really good at. It's just a quick snapshot of what this person might be about. I told you guys last episode that I was in a book club, and my book club is like super into the Enneagram. So they're constantly talking about it. And so that's really funny because now I know a whole lot about myself being a 3. And it's not great. There's nothing good about
It's
me.
not great.
It's a real disappointment. So that's the negative, is that you learn bad stuff about yourself. But in all seriousness, I think I'm just going to segue us into the negatives, is that we tend to have, we can get really, really sucked into it. And we can start to like have literal Bible studies based off of Enneagram numbers. And we can just, or like giftings, like I'm a prophet, so that just means I get to be super rude, like I feel like we can use it as a crutch.
Right.
Like I can just say that this is my personality, this is my giftings, and you just kind of get the good and the bad. And so I don't necessarily have to work on myself. So that can be a negative thing that can happen, that we tend to turn these kind of cultural phenomenons that are really not necessarily based in biblical truth, even though God made all of us. So it's all there. Mm-hmm. But we can really get away from working on our hearts and becoming the best we can be, sanctified in Christ, rather than just, being an Enneagram 3 or a ESTJ or whatever I am. And a prophet. So lots of great things to work on. And I do think that I can easily just get into the fun of it and not really actually work on myself, or even with my friends, like putting them into boxes. So anything else you guys can think of that might be some things to look out for on this trend?
Yeah, I think I've seen people try to figure out Jesus through the personality tests and the Enneagrams and saying he was definitely this. And you can just box people up like you were saying, Abby. I know that even for me, I feel like it's easy to box somebody in and be like, oh, that's just because they're this. It's like, oh, that's just them, because they're this. So I think that's when we put too much confidence and faith and not enough wiggle room that people can grow, develop, change, because God's that big. I think that part is very real. So just not boxing people in because we know now what they're testing us.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's what comes to my mind as well. Is it can just, like we said with the pros, it can be a great starting point to understand differences. But then you really, the best way to go deeper in that, I think, is to get to know the actual person, to not make those assumptions that if they're a certain number or a certain color or a certain type, that now you understand them. And then the same thing that you said, Abigail, I do think that another real con or negative can be that we excuse ourselves from having to grow in certain areas because this is just the way I am. This, and maybe even more, like this is the way God made me. So this is just who I am, and I can't help it. So those can definitely be negatives, as well as just becoming weirdly obsessed with whether it's Enneagram or Myers-Briggs. Like people can really go deep into these things, so that it's like the whole, it's a filter they see humanity through and the world through, which I think is taking it too far.